Hello and welcome back to my channel. It's so lovely for you to come back and join me today. I was absolutely blown away by how many people viewed my last video. I really wasn't expecting it at all, and it was so nice of you to leave all the lovely comments on Instagram and down here on YouTube. It was just so nice, and it gave me a real confidence boost to come back and do it again. So thank you to everybody who said you were looking forward to me doing more videos and that you enjoyed the last episode. So thank you, and I hope you like what I've got to share with you today. I've got a few projects that I'm working on and some exciting plans of things that I want to make. So I'll get started and I'll show you, these are some swatches in this beautiful bottle green Let Lopi. I'm going to knit, well, I've actually started, I've got a beautiful yoke started. I'm doing the Tracer sweater from Liner magazine. I always want to say Lane because that's how my brain reads it, but I think you're supposed to say Liner. And I'll give you a quick peek. It's not got a brilliant photo of it in here, but you can see what it looks like. I actually follow somebody, I think her name's Kaylee Covey on Instagram, and she knit a beautiful sweater in this bottle green, and I've completely copied her, and I've actually got the exact same colours, so I hope she doesn't mind us being twins. But I've got it in here in my big sweater sack, which is the perfect size for this because I think I had to get about 8 skeins for the main colour, and then it's got 3 contrast, actually here they are, I've got 3 contrast colours for the yoke. They're gorgeous, aren't they? And I just know that this will be such a wearable colour. I think that will look really, really nice with jeans and stuff. Like, it's a really good everyday sweater when it's really cold in the winter time. But let me show you the yoke that I've done so far. Isn't that gorgeous? I love how these colours work together. I felt like it wasn't being very original, copying somebody else's colour scheme, but it was so perfect together that I just couldn't resist getting these colours. I found her project on Ravelry, so I'll pop a link in the show notes to her Instagram and her project page so you can have a look and see the exact colours that I've used. But yeah, it's just a really, really lovely sweater. I'm really enjoying the yoke part so far. I did feel like a little bit I was fighting with the yarn. Can you see it? It's really, really fluffy. I felt like the fibres were almost knitting themselves together when I didn't want them to, but I've kind of got into a groove, and I think I've got the right number of stitches that it feels comfortable on the needle that I'm using. I'm using higher sharps, and I actually almost think they might be a bit too sharp. I think that's the problem, that they're probably catching on just little bits of fibre rather than going all like straight through each stitch. But it's not been terrible, so I'm persevering and I cannot wait. I'm hoping that this weekend I can find some time to work on that because I think that will be really, really lovely, and I can't wait to get that finished. I mentioned that I'll pop her details and all the yarn colours on my show notes. So if you want to get those, you will have to pop along to my website, which is alexcollinsdesigns.com. And if you have a look on the blog page, I'll be putting all the show notes on there. And I'll also put a link below because I've started doing an email where every time I upload a video, you'll get an email and have all the show notes there. So if that's something that you'd like, I was really happy that lots of people did want that, and lots of people signed up last time. So it obviously is a useful thing to have the show notes right to your inbox. So anything that I talk about today, I'll be putting them on the blog and in the email newsletter. So I'll put a sign up below and I'll put a link to the blog as well. So that's the first thing that I've got, which I'm really excited about. And my poor Bassenfell that I've got in my little drawstring bag has been a little bit neglected because it's so close to being finished. This shows how much fits inside these little drawstring bags because this shawl is getting huge. I showed this last time and I thought I'd be finished, but my sweater's taken over. You can see how long it's got. It's going all the way from one tip. I've finished doing all the cluster stitches and I've started decreasing, and I'm so close. I've only got this little bit. You decrease on it every other row, and there's not that many stitches on the needle, so I feel like it shouldn't take that long to finish. So I might have a try to get that done for next time, because it'd be so nice to show it to you all finished and also get it done. Well, I probably still could wear it. It's still quite chilly, even though it's been really, really sunny the last couple of days. It's been quite cold, so it'd be lovely. I love how this is a really good representation of the colour. This is the Nutkins colour. It's the Fiberco Cumbria fingering, and I think I said this is Battenfeld by Claire Devine. And yeah, it's a really, really lovely knit. It's got just enough interest with the cluster stitches. I think I showed this to you before, but these are the clusters. They make this sort of really nice decorative effect, and they're really simple once you get the hang of them. So it makes a really nice pattern because it's simple enough that you don't have to concentrate too hard, but there's enough interest that it's not boring. So I'm really, really enjoying that one. That's lovely. But as I say, I got really close to finishing it and then put it down because I couldn't stop knitting on the yoke. I kept wanting to do another colour and another colour. I think I'm halfway through. Got about another 16 rows on the yoke, so that's sort of been put to one side, but I definitely will have a final push to get that done. So I've got that, and the other thing I finished that I spoke to you about last time was my Nico top. I think this is a true bias pattern. I will double check that, but I'm pretty sure it's a true bias, and it's a really nice jersey roll neck. Can you see? Oh yeah, you can see that. It's a nice ribbed. I just got a really inexpensive fabric just to test out the pattern because I wasn't sure how it would look, and it's always a bit tricky buying jersey online, but I'm really, really pleased how it turned out, and I've actually worn it quite a lot. So I'm not sure if you can see, it's got long sleeves. It comes in 3 versions. They have it with no sleeves. They've got like a sleeveless version, and they have a full length dress, which is really cool. So a very sort of 90s look. But I really, really love this. I think I will do many more of those as it's a really good staple. And talking about grey tops, I actually went to Ray Stitch yesterday. My lovely bag of goodies from them, and I bought more grey fabric, which is not that surprising, but it's so beautiful. It's a really, really lovely, well, you won't be able to tell on the camera, but it's so soft. It's a really, really lovely finish. It's quite lightweight, and it's got a nice bit of drape, and it's just, yeah, it's such a lovely quality. I think buying jersey, it's so nice when you can go somewhere in person, and Ray Stitch have a really, really good selection. Yeah, they've got downstairs in the basement, they've got lovely like sweatshirts with the fleecy back, and they've got a few prints that are really nice. But yeah, it's just nice to get your hands on the jersey because this feels beautiful, and it's something that you just can't tell online. You can't tell the weight and the structure is really going to affect how something will look and how it will hang. So I think this is a really good one for, I'm going to do a lark tee with short sleeves and scoop neck. That's a grain line pattern, and I think I showed you last time I made the Bratton top that was a lark tee pattern, but that was a boat neck with the 3/4 laces, so it'd be quite different, but you get the variations in the pattern. So I'm going to have a go at that one. It'd be a bit more of a nice spring sort of layer. And the second thing that I got, this is also from Ray Stitch, this lovely denim blue. Yeah, that looks really, really accurate colour. And this is a little bit of a heavier weight. It's still really nice, sort of soft quality, but it's a little bit thicker, heavier weight. And I'm going to do the Blackwood cardigan, which is like an open front, sort of longer length cardigan. And I think it's got pockets. It's by Helen's Closet. She has the Love to Sew podcast, which is an audio podcast that I really, really enjoy, and she's lovely. And I've seen quite a few of these popping up on Instagram. So I actually saw somebody on Pinterest who'd done a similar fabric to this, but in a really gorgeous like cranberry colour. So I'll pop a link to the image that actually really inspired me to make this, because I think you'll like that too. She'd sort of styled it with a similar top to this, to the Nico top, like a little sort of roll neck with a nice kind of navy stripe, which was really cool. So that's something else that I got. And while I was at Ray Stitch, I couldn't help go to Loop because it's literally just around the corner. So popped along to Loop, and I didn't get any yarn, but I got this magazine. This is Cole magazine, which I love. This it's It's like a really beautiful, almost like a coffee table book. I'll see if I can give you a little flick through. It's always hard to show these kind of things, but I think you can. How's best to show you? Let's see. Maybe if I face it this way. That's not really going to focus, is it? It's just got some really nice sort of projects, and I love their aesthetic. One of the things that I really love is this. It's needle punched cushion, which I think is amazing. I love the colours she's used. Quite sort of almost like 70s, I think. I like this one as well. I've seen these on Instagram because I follow her. I think you say it Boku. They're based in Canada, and she does lovely project bags and textiles, and her husband does furniture. But yeah, this is a really great magazine. They do all sorts of fibre arts in here. There's like crochet and a little bit of knitting, and they have spinning and weaving and dyeing. Yeah, it's just a really, really beautiful book. So I was happy to pick that up. I had wanted to get the next issue of Liner, but of course it was sold out, which I did expect. So there was no harm in asking and hoping that it could have been there. So that's that. And actually, while we're talking about magazines, something really exciting happened this month. The people at 91 magazine, which I've been collecting these issues for a little while, they approached me about doing an interview for their blog series. They do Meet the Maker each month, and the lovely Kath Webber, who I met at Pom Pom Christmas Party about 2 years ago, she interviewed me for the blog. So if you'd like to go over and have a read of that, hopefully you'll find it really interesting. I found it really interesting to be interviewed, actually, because you don't sort of think about sort of what you're doing, and when you're actually in it, you sort of don't think about how your career is progressing. And she asked lots of questions about what I'd done before and why I do the things I do, and sort of what the eco-conscious side of my business was about. And she just asked some really, really insightful questions, and I found it quite nice to sit down and really think about what I'm doing and why I'm doing the things that I do and the way I create. And she asked about what I do each day and what my process is like, how I design my patterns and my textiles. So I think you might find it interesting. She asked some really great questions. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes, and that's on the 91 magazine blog. So you can have a read of that if you'd like. So another thing that I thought I'd share with you was this fabric that I dyed last year at the Creativity Festival at Hillview Farm, and I did a workshop with Christina on indigo dyeing, and isn't that amazing? I love this fabric. Got a few other little pieces, but I've had this since I went last summer and I haven't done anything with it, and I felt really sad because the tickets have just gone on sale for the next Creativity Festival, which is a retreat that goes, I think it's from Friday to Sunday. I've got my ticket already because I was really excited to go back. I had such a lovely time. You do, it's glamping, so you stay in a really beautiful yurt and you have a lovely blow up bed. It's not camping, it's not sort of slumming it. I mean, it is slightly because you obviously are sleeping in a tent, but it's done in a really nice way, and there are lovely blankets on the bed and had nice pillows, so it wasn't too rustic. It was really, really nice, and we had a great campfire that every night we sort of sat around knitting, and yeah, it was just such a good time. So I'm excited to go back. But it got me thinking about this fabric, and I was really sad that I've had this and not done anything with it. So it sort of spurred me on. I had been sad to cut it up because it was such a nice big piece of fabric, and I had thought about making a throw and just having one big border around it. But you know, when you don't follow through on a project idea, I always feel like there's a reason behind it. So I feel like that's maybe not the best thing to do, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and actually cut it in squares and do a really simple sort of throw size quilt that I can put on the end of the bed or put on the sofa, and I think it would be really nice. I'm not sure if I'll alternate the squares with white or if I'll mix in some other sort of blues, because I really love the indigo blue. It might just be nice to have it really crisp and classic and do white squares alternating with the indigo dyed squares. But it'd be really nice to have something made so that I could take it back to the Creativity Festival this year. I'll put the information in the show notes if you're in the UK and you wanted to come along. It's it's at Hillview Farm, which is in Buckinghamshire, and it's just really, really lovely, beautiful food. Natasha's an excellent cook. We had really lovely meals, and lots of lovely creative people. There were some really interesting workshops. There were lots of sort of crafts and activities that I hadn't even really thought of before. I did ceramics with Katie Robbins, who's Ceramic Magpie on Instagram. She was lovely, and it was really, really nice to have a play with the ceramics. And as I said, I did the indigo dyeing with Christina, and I did floral embroidery with Olga, and that was amazing. You literally embroider. It's not with thread, you're embroidering with flowers. So you cover a hoop with tulle and you weave the stems of the flowers and all sorts of little botanical bits that she's collected for us to use. I actually have a little video I put together, like a mini movie of my time there. So I'll pop a link to that as well, because it shows all the things that I made. But I had such a great time, and I'm really looking forward to going back and seeing what kind of activities they'll have this time, because I know there'll be some really, really interesting things. So I'm excited. So I was hoping that maybe if I talked about this on here, it might give me the push to actually turn that into something. So we'll see what happens. I think that's everything. The last thing I wanted to have a quick chat about was the 100-day project, which you might have seen me talking about on Instagram. It's called the 100-day project, and you can find them at the100dayproject.org. I'll pop the information in if you wanted to join in. It's basically, it's in its 5th or 6th year, and creatives all over the world work on a personal project for 100 days. So it's something that it's not like your creative work that you do for your job. It's like a creative practice outside of that. So I'm still focusing on print, which is obviously something that I do every week, because I hand print all my fabrics that you've seen. I hand print all of these. So I obviously print all the time, but this is just a more freeing experiment. So the idea behind it is that you take something and break it down to its simplest form. So it's really achievable over the 100 days, and that you do something that you could do in you could do 15 minutes, or you could do an hour a day. There's so many different people. If you look on the hashtag, you'll see there's lots of artists and writers and photographers and all sorts of people that get involved. But I'm doing print, and I thought I'd show you. This is one of the block prints that I created. So I carved this little simple shape, and I did lots of test prints, but this was the little print that I did. I think this was on day 2. We're only a few days into the project, but I'm posting every day on my story. So if you wanted to come over and have a look, if you go onto my Instagram page, and you'll see the little highlights. It says print as play, and you can follow along. I'm posting every single day and showing some of the process. I've got some little videos of me doing these prints, and it's just a really nice project. I think it's nice to collect it all in one place. The idea is that you use your own hashtag. So I'm doing 100 days of print as play, and keeping all my sort of things there. And then at the end of the 100 days, I should have a lovely collection of all these little videos and photos of my print journey. So if you wanted to join in, it's not a strict thing at all. Like, they're really, really relaxed about it. Like, you can join in any time. It doesn't matter that it's already started. You can just jump in whenever, really. But it's a personal thing, so it's you make it whatever you want it to be, really. And I think the main thing is to just keep it achievable. Do something that's simple and that you enjoy and that you think you can keep going. So 100 days is a really, really long time. So it's got to be something that you're quite passionate about. But I'm really interested to see where it will take me, because it's a lot more free than my usual work. And it's nice not having the pressure of thinking about turning something into a product, or what other people think, or if it will work on fabric. It's really nice. I'm not putting any rules around it, apart from I'm doing like a minimum of 30 minutes a day, and I'm just keeping it very simple. I've put together a little mood board on Pinterest, so I can try and pull some ideas out of that, but I'm not thinking about the finished piece. I'm literally just taking one idea and executing that on any given day, and then I'm hoping that over the course of the 100 days I'll sort of build on those ideas, and one thing will spark an idea and it will sort of lead to another jumping off point. And yeah, it's just a really nice project, and there's lots of exciting people that have taken part before. I'm following a few people that I know have done it in previous years, and they're doing it again this year, and everybody sort of cheers each other on. So if you were going to do it, let me know so that I can follow along with your hashtag as well and see what you're up to. I know, I think it was last year, somebody actually wrote a knitting book. I can't remember who it was, but I remember hearing them interviewed. I think it might have been on Elise Gets Crafty. She interviewed a lady that did the 100-day project last year, and she actually wrote a knitting book. So yeah, there's people, all sorts of creative people. It's not just artists. I think when you look on the hashtag, it is quite art heavy. But yeah, you can make whatever you want of it. You could knit a jumper on 100 days, or you could do 100 days of sewing and sort of work on your skills, or build a handmade wardrobe or anything. I'd be really interested to see what you felt like doing. So I think that's everything I've shared with you, and I've told you all my little plans for future sewing and knitting projects. So I'm going to sign off and hopefully speak to you again in a couple of weeks. Thank you again for joining me, and don't forget that you can get all the show notes on my website, alexcollinsdesigns.com, and you can also shop my bags there, and you can find me on Instagram. I'm @collinsdesigns on Instagram, and yeah, I'd love it if you could join me over there as well and follow along with what I'm doing. So I will see you very soon.